The Silent Hunter. The grand chamber of the Krillian flagship Eternal Dominion sparkled with captured light from 1,000 conquered worlds. Admiral Vextar stood before the massive viewing portal, his scaled hands clasped behind his armored back as he gazed upon the fleet that had brought the outer spiral to its knees. 12 years of systematic conquest had finally paid off. Every rebellious world had been crushed, every resistance cell eliminated, every trace of opposition reduced to cosmic dust. The Admiral's yellow eyes reflected the distant stars as he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Krillian Empire now controlled over 300 systems, and their expansion showed no signs of slowing. Their plasma cannons could melt through any known armor, their energy shields had never been breached, and their faster-than-light drives made them the undisputed masters of space warfare. "Admiral," announced his aide, Commander Zixel, whose crimson ceremonial armor marked him as part of the Imperial Guard. "The victory celebration is prepared. Emperor Thisran himself has sent congratulations on your successful elimination of the human colonies in Sector 7. Vextar nodded slowly, remembering the final assault on those stubborn human settlements 3 years ago. The humans had fought with surprising determination, but their primitive kinetic weapons and outdated technology had been no match for Krillian superiority. The last human transmission had been a desperate plea for reinforcements that would never come. Now their worlds were nothing but radioactive monuments to Imperial power. "Sir," called Lieutenant Kazuk from his sensor station, his voice carrying an unusual tremor. "I'm detecting an anomaly in the outer system. Something is creating gravitational distortions near the asteroid field." The Admiral turned from his contemplation, his celebration mood shifting to military alertness. In 43 years of service, he had learned that anomalies often preceded unpleasant surprises. "Show me." The main holographic display materialized in the center of the command chamber, showing a three-dimensional map of local space. A pulsing amber indicator appeared at the edge of their sensor range, growing more intense by the second. The gravitational signature was subtle but persistent, unlike anything in their extensive databases. "Analysis," Vextar commanded. "The distortion is artificial, sir," reported the ship's science officer. "Something is manipulating local space-time in a controlled manner. The pattern suggests advanced stealth technology, but the methodology is completely unknown to our systems." Vextar felt his chest plates tighten slightly. The Empire had encountered many species during their expansion, and each had eventually fallen to superior Krillian technology and tactics. But this signature was different. It suggested a level of sophistication that shouldn't exist in this region of space. Suddenly, the distortion ceased. Where empty space had been moments before, a vessel materialized as if stepping out from behind an invisible curtain. Every Krillian in the command chamber stared in stunned silence at what appeared on their screens. The ship was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Where Krillian vessels were massive and intimidating, designed to project power through sheer size, this craft was sleek and predatory. Its hull was matte black, seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange angular protrusions covered its surface, and weapon ports were integrated so seamlessly that they were barely visible until activated. Most unsettling of all, it moved with a fluid grace that suggested its crew was completely comfortable in the depths of space. "Size estimate?" Vextar asked, though his eyes never left the mysterious vessel. "Approximately 400 meters, sir. Much smaller than our dreadnoughts, but the energy readings are concerning. Their power output is nearly equivalent to our capital ships, concentrated in a much smaller frame." The Admiral studied the alien craft on his screen. Its design spoke of a species that had learned to fight smart rather than simply overwhelming their enemies with brute force. Every line of the ship suggested efficiency and lethality over intimidation. These were not creatures who had grown soft during peaceful times. "Attempt communication," he ordered. "All standard frequencies." The communications officer began broadcasting mathematical sequences, prime numbers, and basic physics constants, the universal foundation of first contact protocols. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. The mysterious ship held its position at the edge of weapons range, neither advancing nor retreating. Then their consoles erupted with incoming signals. "Sir, they're responding," reported the communications officer, his voice filled with excitement and concern. "The signal structure is incredibly complex. They're using multiple frequencies simultaneously, and the data compression is beyond our current capabilities. However, our translation matrix is beginning to identify patterns." After several minutes of computer processing, the first translated words appeared on the display screen. What they read made every Krillion's blood run cold. "This is Captain Marcus Steele of the Human Resistance Frigate Shadow's Edge. By the authority of the United Human Colonies, you are ordered to surrender immediately. Your crimes against humanity will be judged according to the laws of war. You have 60 seconds to comply." The command chamber fell silent except for the hum of ship systems. Humans, the same species they had supposedly exterminated 3 years ago. But this was impossible. Their intelligence networks had confirmed the complete destruction of all human settlements in this sector. Admiral Vextar's shock quickly transformed into rage. How dare these primitives threaten the might of the Empire? "Signal the fleet," he commanded. "Battle formation Alpha 7. Prepare to capture that vessel intact. I want to interrogate whoever commands it." As the 12 massive Krillian warships began moving into position, their weapons powering up and shields activating, Captain Steele's voice came through their speakers again. This time, there was something in his tone that made even veteran warriors pause. "You destroyed our colonies. You murdered our families. You thought you had eliminated humanity from this sector of space. You were wrong." The human ship began moving, not retreating as expected, but advancing directly toward the center of the Krillian formation. Its approach was steady and deliberate, showing no fear of the overwhelming odds. "Admiral," called the tactical officer, "I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout their ship. Their weapons are charging, but the power signatures don't match any known technology. And sir, I'm detecting something else." "What?" "More gravitational distortions, multiple contacts emerging from stealth throughout the system." Vextar's eyes widened as his tactical display lit up with new contacts. 5, 10, 15 more human vessels materialized from apparently empty space. Each one was different in design, but shared the same predatory grace as the first. They had been completely invisible to Krillian sensors until they chose to reveal themselves. The humans had been waiting, watching, planning. Captain Marcus Steele sat in the command chair of the Shadow's Edge, his weathered face showing no emotion as he watched the Krillian fleet scramble to respond to their presence. Beside him, his first officer commander Elena Vasquez monitored their stealth systems with practiced efficiency. "All ships report ready, Captain," she announced. "Operation Payback is green across the board." Steele nodded, his gray eyes never leaving the tactical display. 3 years ago, he had watched from a hidden observation post as the Krillians reduced his homeworld to ash. His wife, his children, his entire life had been erased in a matter of hours. But the Krillians had made one crucial mistake. They had assumed they had found all the human colonies. They were wrong. Hidden deep in asteroid fields, disguised as dead moons, and scattered across a dozen systems, the remnants of humanity had not just survived. They had evolved. While the Empire celebrated their supposed victory, human engineers had been reverse engineering captured Krillian technology and combining it with their own innovations. The result was a new generation of warships that could match any Imperial vessel. "Their formation is standard Imperial doctrine," observed Lieutenant Commander Harrison from the weapons station. "They're trying to surround us and force a surrender." "Let them try," Steele replied quietly. "Signal all ships. Execute Operation Payback. Show them what happens when you wake a sleeping giant." The human vessels began moving in perfect coordination, each ship taking a predetermined position in a complex 3-dimensional pattern. To the Krillians, it might have looked like preparation for a desperate last stand. In reality, it was the opening move of a carefully planned execution. As the Krillian ships closed in, confident in their numerical superiority, Admiral Vextar received a final transmission from Captain Steele. The human's voice was calm, controlled, and absolutely terrifying in its certainty. "Admiral, you wanted to eliminate humanity from this galaxy. Today, you're going to learn why that was a mistake. Today, you discover what humans do to those who threaten our families. Today, the hunter becomes the hunted." The Battle of Kepler Station was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Reckoning. The first shot came not from the massive Krillian dreadnoughts, but from a weapon so advanced that Admiral Vextar's sensors couldn't even detect its approach until it was too late. The Shadow's Edge had fired what appeared to be a standard plasma bolt, but as it streaked through space toward the Krillian flagship, it began to split and multiply. By the time it reached its target, one shot had become 50, each one finding gaps in the Imperial shields with surgical precision. The Eternal Dominion shuddered as multiple impacts cascaded across its hull. Vextar gripped his command chair as damage reports flooded in from across the ship. Impossible. Their shields should have deflected any known weapon, but somehow these projectiles had passed through it as if the barriers didn't exist. "Adaptive plasma warheads," Commander Vasquez explained to her captain as they watched the results of their opening salvo. They analyze shield frequencies in real time and adjust their phase variance to match. Took our scientists 2 years to perfect them. Captain Steele nodded, his expression grim but satisfied. "Signal the fleet. Pattern Delta 9. Let's show them what human ingenuity looks like when it's properly motivated." The 16 human vessels began executing a maneuver that defied every conventional space combat doctrine. Instead of maintaining formation and trading shots at long range, they scattered in seemingly random directions, using the nearby asteroid field as cover. To the Krillians, it looked like the humans were fleeing in panic. They couldn't have been more wrong. "Sir," called Lieutenant Kazuk from his sensor station, his voice tight with confusion. "The human vessels are entering the asteroid field, but their energy signatures are changing. I can barely maintain sensor locks." Admiral Vextar watched in growing disbelief as the human ships seemed to vanish and reappear among the rocky debris. Their stealth technology was unlike anything the Empire had encountered, not just masking their presence, but actively confusing Krillian sensors with false readings and phantom contacts. "Pursue them," he ordered. "Use the asteroids for cover if necessary. Do not let them escape." But as the Krillian fleet entered the asteroid field in pursuit, they discovered that the humans had turned the environment into a weapon. Hidden among the rocks were automated defense platforms, their signatures masked until the moment they opened fire. Suddenly, the Imperial ships found themselves caught in a crossfire between the human vessels and dozens of concealed weapon emplacements. The Krillian heavy cruiser Death's Herald took the brunt of the first coordinated assault. Captain Steele had personally targeted it, recognizing its configuration as one of the ships that had participated in the destruction of the human colonies. As multiple human vessels converged on it from different angles, their weapons synchronized in a devastating display of tactical coordination. "Captain Chin, take point," Steele commanded over the tactical network. "Rodriguez, flank left and hit their engine sectors. Williams, you're with me. We're going for their command structure." The 3 human ships moved like predators stalking wounded prey. The Death's Herald tried to bring its massive guns to bear, but the humans were too fast, too agile. They darted between asteroids, used debris as shields, and coordinated their attacks with a precision that spoke of years of careful planning and preparation. When the Krillian cruiser finally exploded, its death throes lighting up the asteroid field like a miniature star, Admiral Vextar realized he was not facing desperate survivors. He was fighting the most dangerous enemy the Empire had ever encountered, humans with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. "All ships, withdraw to open space," he commanded. reform in battle line formation. We'll destroy them with concentrated firepower. But the humans weren't finished with their surprises. As the Krillian fleet began to retreat from the asteroid field, additional human vessels began decloaking throughout the system. Not just ships, but an entire hidden infrastructure that had been developing in secret for 3 years. "My God," whispered Commander Vasquez as she watched their strategic display fill with new contacts. The Resistance Council actually did it. They built an entire fleet. Captain Steele allowed himself a rare smile. While the Empire had been celebrating their supposed victory over humanity, the survivors had been working. Hidden shipyards in the depths of space had been churning out new vessels. Secret research facilities had been developing revolutionary technologies. And most importantly, scattered human populations across dozens of systems had been organizing, preparing for this moment. The Battle of Kepler Station had been intended as a demonstration, but it was becoming something far more significant. The announcement that humanity was not only alive, but stronger than ever. Admiral Vextar found himself facing not 16 human ships, but over 60. Each one was equipped with technology that his scientists couldn't understand and tactics his strategists couldn't predict. Worse still, the humans were fighting with a coordination that suggested extensive battle experience. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "we're receiving distress calls from the Outer Rim. Multiple Imperial installations are under attack by human forces. This isn't an isolated engagement. It's a coordinated galaxy-wide offensive." The Admiral's scaled face went pale. The humans hadn't just survived. They had been planning this for years. Every move the Empire had made, every celebration of their supposed victory, had been observed and analyzed by human intelligence networks. Today wasn't just about revenge. It was about liberation. As the battle raged around them, Captain Steele opened a channel to all human vessels. "All ships, this is Steele. Operation Payback is proceeding according to plan. Remember what we're fighting for, not just revenge, but the freedom of every species in this galaxy that has suffered under Imperial rule. Today, we show the universe that tyranny has an expiration date." The human fleet moved with renewed purpose, their attacks becoming even more coordinated and devastating. They used advanced electronic warfare to disrupt Krillian communications, deployed drone swarms that overwhelmed enemy point defenses, and employed tactics that turned the Empire's own size and strength against them. The tide of battle shifted decisively when the humans revealed their final surprise, a weapon that the Empire's arrogance had made inevitable. Hidden among the human fleet was a massive vessel that had been disguised as debris until this moment. The Liberation, humanity's first dreadnought, emerged from stealth with weapons that had been specifically designed to counter Krillian technology. "Target the Imperial flagship," Captain Steele commanded. "It's time to end this." Admiral Vextar watched in horror as the human dreadnought's main guns charged with energy readings that exceeded anything his sensors had ever recorded. In his final moments, he understood the terrible truth. The Empire hadn't just failed to eliminate humanity. They had created something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. The last thing he saw was a brilliant flash of light as the Liberation's main cannon spoke, and the Eternal Dominion ceased to exist. As news of the victory spread throughout the galaxy, oppressed worlds began to rise in rebellion. The message was clear. The invincible Krillian Empire could be defeated. The humans had shown the way, and now others were following. In the aftermath of the battle, Captain Steele stood in his ready room, looking out at the debris field that had once been the pride of the Imperial Navy. Commander Vasquez joined him, carrying reports from across the galaxy. "Sir, we're receiving communications from over 40 systems. Species that the Empire conquered are declaring independence. The rebellion is spreading faster than our intelligence networks can track." Steele nodded, but his expression remained somber. "The war isn't over, Elena. This was just the beginning. The Empire still has hundreds of fleets, thousands of worlds. But today we proved something important." "What's that, Captain?" We proved that no matter how dark things get, no matter how impossible the odds seem, humanity doesn't give up. We adapt, we survive, and when necessary, we fight back harder than anyone expects. As the human fleet prepared to jump to their next target, carrying hope to enslaved worlds across the galaxy, the legend of the Battle of Kepler Station began to spread. It would be remembered as the day the galaxy learned that humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were the ones who would teach the universe that freedom is worth fighting for, no matter the cost. The Empire had been confident in their victory, but they had underestimated the one thing that no amount of technology or firepower could defeat: the human spirit, forged in adversity and strengthened by loss, now rising to reclaim their place among the stars.